beautiful people. Welcome back for another episode. Actually, the 8th episode. Whoop, whoop. We're getting up there of Embrace You Hot Topics in Weight Loss. And as you know, this is your safe space to ask questions and get individualized facts about weight loss, and that not just the science of it, but also the soul and the spirit. Like we also go deep and talk about the feelings as well. And I am your host, if you don't know me, Dr. Sylvia Gonson-Bowley. I'm your innovative, integrative bariatrician, best-selling author, speaker, and founder of Embrace You Weight and Wellness, where we help smart, successful people stop obsessing over the scale and live lighter in body, mind, and spirit. So today, y'all, well, first of all, before we get started, let me know where you're checking in from. Let me know how you're feeling. And can I be honest about how I'm feeling? Because I'm going to need a little help today. You know, we're always honest here. But can you believe I feel like I'm the last person on the planet to get COVID for the first time? I am just recovering from COVID, y'all. So if you hear me a little raspy, my sister and I, we call this my shug voice. I'm a little raspy, might cough a little bit, but I thank God because I am better. Look, I was like listening, by the end of it, I was like listening to Mahalia Jackson. I went back to my grandma's time, y'all, like how I got over, because that thing, it was serious. And I just want to like really take a moment and like just pray or have a moment of silence for all the people who lost their lives to COVID, because I worked on the front lines and I certainly have many patients who passed from it. And so it is no joke. So, you know, y'all do what you have to do to stay protected, because it's still out there. I know WHO declared it's a non-emergency because now we're learning to live with it, but do what you need to do. I know as for me, I am glad that I vaxxed and boosted and masked, and I still got it finally at the end, but I was really safe for a long time. So I'm grateful for that. All right, but I totally digress. I see some familiar faces. Welcome back, Judy. Welcome back, Ursuline. Good to see y'all. And thank you. Keep talking in the comments. This is your show. And let me tell you what the show's really about. Not my COVID. The show is really about weight gain triggers. Tell me, have y'all heard of weight gain triggers? I like to think I'm the one who came up with this. Okay. In medicine, we call these obesogenic factors. But really, what we're talking about today is the fact that when it comes to weight loss or weight gain or your body regulating its weight, it is more complicated than the whole calories in versus calories out, or eat less, move more. And I know people have said that. Y'all been saying that before I was born, and I still hear people say it when it comes to weight loss. But I want to give you some tools to free you from the frustration of that outdated approach, because it's really outdated. And we know now that it's not just about calories in versus calories out, but there are actually over 100 weight gain triggers that can lead your body to store extra fat. And so as you listen to me today, type your questions in there, type your comments. I'm going to throw some things out to you, but I'm going to explain to you what weight gain triggers are, what some of the common ones are. You know, I think of everything from a body perspective, a mind and spirit, and then of course, equip you with tools that you can use, simple things that you can use to get free from the frustration of weight loss, weight regain, diet, yo-yo diet, and all of that. So we're going to do that in about 30 minutes. So let's go. So we need to get started. So number one, so as I said, there's over 100 triggers for them, for weight gain. And so understanding how your body it holds on to weight and why it holds on to weight, it's really important, right? Because the main thing when we talk about calories are actually units of energy. So people have said calories in versus calories out, but what we need to be saying is energy in versus energy out. And when y'all think about energy, like what do you think about? Like, what are some stuff that affect your energy? Just go ahead and type in the chat. What are some things that affect your energy? Because that way we can expand our thinking and think bigger than just, okay, food, exercise. So just in general, what are some things that affect your energy? I'm not going to sing, look, because you already know, like I got some songs in my head now. I'm thinking I'm like big energy. Okay, no, let's go. Okay. Hey, Allison from Sydney. Good to see you. Woo woo. We're from the other side. What time is it in Sydney? Oh my goodness. Good to see you. So calories are units of energy. So I want you to start thinking about energy in versus energy out. So what are the things that affect your energy? Okay. So several things go into it. And then the other thing I want you to think about is like controllable versus uncontrollable. Because when we start thinking about these weight gain triggers, there's some things that we just came into this world with that we cannot control. Right, there's some things we can't control, and people get all caught up on the things they can't control, but really we need to start also thinking, there are things we can control. And so weight gain triggers, we also need to think about it more as energy in versus energy out. So all the things that affect our energy. I see Fred Ross, the boss. I love that. Hey, the boss. Okay, Fred Ross, the boss said, not enough rest. Exactly. We're going to talk about sleep. That can definitely affect your energy, right? And then we also need to think about what's controllable versus uncontrollable. So let's get to the first point. So the first category of weight gain triggers, let's start with the body, right? So I said those uncontrollable things start before you're even born, right? So some of those things are, y'all know it. What am I going to say? Genetics, right? I was talking with someone over the weekend, and they were like, I come from big people. Like everyone in my family is big. And before, we used to say, and already, and before y'all type in the chat, I already know what's about to type. Big boned it. Because I'm from Georgia. I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. You know, right? They just big boned it. They just big boned it. And no, people, there are some studies that suggest that some people have different bone mass, but that is not going to contribute significantly to your weight, right? And even if it does, that's not what we're talking about. When we talk about weight, and in particular on this show as an obesity specialist, we're not just talking about total body weight, but we're talking about when you have excess body fat that is putting you at risk for health diseases. So I need to be clear about that. So we're talking about excess, these are weight gain triggers, or triggers that are going to cause your body to store more fat or extra fat than what it needs. And we do need some fat. So I'm not saying that fat is bad. Fat is a vital body organ that you need, but store extra fat that is not going to help you in the long run and put you at risk for diseases. So when we talk about this, really we're talking about body fat triggers. What are the things is? Yes, big boned. Yes, Atlantic. Exactly. But we're not, even if you are big boned, that's not what we're talking about, because that's not what's putting you at risk for health diseases. What we're talking about is like some families do tend to weigh more. Now, when it comes to what the role genetics plays in it, we know this from twin studies, right? So two twins that are what we call monozygotic, so two identical twins, right, that grow up. They have the same DNA almost essentially, and then they grow up in the similar environment and everything. And then they're done some studies where, like, if we take them out of that environment, what role does the environment play versus their genetics? And from those twin studies, we can see that it really depends. In some of it, it's between 20 to up to 80% for some people. And that's a tough pill to swallow. So again, there's still so much more that we need to do in the realm of genetics to know. But what that says is that genetics can be a big influence on how your body stores fat. So yes, I call it, when I see patients, right, and I don't always do genetic testing. There's now genetic testing that you can do, but but there's what I call poor man's genetics, or low budget genetics. And low budget genetics is just your family history. So usually, like, well, who do you take after in your family? For instance, I'm named after my grandma Sylvia. Okay, Grandma Sylvia, by the time I got to know her, was a very curvaceous, voluptuous, full-figured woman. But guess what the trigger was for Grandma Sylvia to be full-figured, voluptuous, and as the doctor diagnosed her with, was obesity, right? What was that trigger for her? It was pregnancy. And this younger Sylvia, me, Dr. Sylvia, that was also my trigger as well, too. So, and that runs true in my family and for a lot of people. So, that pregnancy is another one of those uncontrollable weight gain triggers. And for a lot of people, it's genetically influenced also. And I think that's important, especially because I'm talking to, here on blackdoctor.org, Black folks, to us, because pregnancy, especially, can be a big trigger for women to be at risk for storing more fat or having go using that as a weight gain trigger, a trigger for obesity. So that's important to keep in mind too. That is not all in your head. Like, these are some of the uncontrollable factors that can happen. And so tell me if you guys are with me. Like, have y'all seen some of these uncontrollable triggers, like from a biological perspective? Is this sounding true to you? I really want to know. And hey, Mary. Mary told me good morning. She gave me double waves. Hey, Mary, good to see you again. So tell me, like, is this true for you? Is that true in your family? Have you seen, like, yeah, we tend to be larger people. Things, our pregnancy is a big trigger. And really, while I'm here talking about that, while y'all are typing in the chat, I call it the 5 Ps. And I want to say too about pregnancy, because now I think some of the men are kind of tuning out, like, oh, she talked about pregnancy, it's those women hormones, it's not me, I can't get pregnant. But let me say that even during the pregnancy, so that men tend to gain extra weight too. And it is because, what are y'all doing? Like, you're bringing in, or the partner gains weight, the non-pregnant partner, right? It's not always a man. So the non-pregnant partner also tends to gain weight too, because you start eating for two as well, bringing in those extra snacks, bringing in those things. You're pulling, once the baby comes, pulling those late nights as well. So it is really real that you gain the weight as well too. So don't say, oh, she's just talking to them, because it can also affect you. So let me talk about, while y'all are checking in, letting me know how you feel about these body weight gain triggers, that, and if you have seen any, like, let's talk a little bit about the hormones, because hormonal imbalance is a key part of it. Fred, the boss, mentioned earlier sleep, and part of why sleep affects it, weight, and why it can be a weight gain trigger. Forgive me, y'all. I told y'all earlier, I'm recovering from COVID. That brain fog is really real. So while sleep can be part of it, is because of the fact that sleep is when all your hormones for your weight cycle, your body weight regulation cycle for your regulating your weight, is reset while you're sleeping. So your cortisol, your adrenaline, your leptin, like, I love to nerd out. All the stuff I talk about in the book, all the stuff I talk about in other things, but all those hormones are being reset while you sleep. So when you disrupt your sleep, when you don't get that 7 to 9 hours of recommended sleep, like you're not waking up feeling rested, or you have sleep apnea, what's really happening is that it's causing hormonal disruption. And so so sleep is a big, or disrupted sleep, not getting enough or getting too much sleep, is a huge weight gain trigger. That is, guess what? Is sleep controllable or uncontrollable? Can you control that weight gain trigger? Can you control your sleep? I think you can. So sleep is a controllable one. So if you want to make a difference on some of the weight gain triggers, that from, like, physical weight gain triggers or body weight gain triggers, controlling that sleep is important. Now, other hormonal imbalances too, and medical conditions as well, for women or for people, I call them the 5 Ps, that you need to be aware of. The first P is puberty. The next one is pregnancy, like we talked about. Then postpartum. And postpartum is not 8 to 9 weeks, okay? It's not just like those little 8 weeks that we get off. Like, postpartum is a whole, is at least a year, honestly, as your body is getting readjusted and knowing that, hey, do we need this extra body fat we stored during pregnancy because we're about to have another baby, because we're breastfeeding, or can we get rid of it? Can we release the fat? Because remember, again, fat is functional, but it's just when we have too much fat or extra fat that it starts to wreak havoc on our health. So the other P is going to be perimenopause. So when you're not quite at menopause, but you're around it, that's another time that your body is having shifts, not just in the typical hormones like the ghrelin, leptin, all of that, but in your estrogen levels, your progesterone, and your testosterone. And yes, women have testosterone too. And even for men, even though we don't have menopause, but people call it andronopause or menopause, we don't talk about it as much. But men during that middle age, when you have decreases in testosterone as well, that can also lead to more belly fat or that central fat. So those are major weight gain triggers. And then the last P is something called polycystic ovarian syndrome. I see this, it's the most common hormonal or reproductive hormonal disorder amongst women ages 18 to 54, but not diagnosed nearly enough. And not only is it just like a reproductive issue as we have pigeonholed it, but it's a metabolic issue as well. So it can cause you to have insulin resistance and store extra fat. So these are some of the weight gain triggers. So again, y'all tell me, have you seen any of these in the sleep pattern? So while I'm doing that, I'm going to share with you some of the ways that you can effectively address your body triggers. Okay, are y'all ready for this? How can you effectively address your body figures? And you know, I love alliteration. In my mind, I'm a poet. I actually wrote like over 500 poems during the pandemic. So one day I'm going to share my poetry with y'all when I'm ready. But for right now, you just get the alliteration. So 3 ways to effectively address body triggers. I'm going to use the M's, the M's. Look, this is my sign for M. I hope I'm not doing any other kind of sign, but 3 M's. So number 1, you know what the first M that you need to change to address your body triggers? The first M, your mouth. Okay. So your mouth, movement, and medications or medical interventions. Those are 3 effective ways to address body triggers. So mouth, what are you eating? Food is fuel, food is medicine, food communicates with, when we even talk about genetics, right? Like certain foods that you eat actually can trigger you to have weight gain. So when we start talking about those synthetic, highly processed foods with chemicals and dyes, things like that, these are called obesogenic foods, or these are weight gain triggering foods. Having a lot of excess processed sugar is another thing that can cause your body to store extra fat as well. So, what are you eating? Making sure that you're choosing foods that are actually going to help treat and cause your body to release extra fat and not hold on to it. So choose, what foods are you choosing? Food is fuel, because those can be triggering as well. Then the movement too. So movement, a lot of us, we get stuck in a rut. Either, okay, what I commonly see happens, right? And movement has been key to my own personal weight loss journey. So if you don't know, if you haven't watched that, I gained 60 pounds in pregnancy. I had about 40 pounds on for 2 years when my baby was no longer a baby. He was a toddler running around. I couldn't claim baby weight anymore. So I had that on for 2 years, and I lost it and have kept it off for 8 years now, and primarily through all these things that I'm talking about: changing what I put in my mouth, changing movement. My medication was movement, but changing the people I'm around, the way I work, all of those things with my stress reduction. So everything I'm telling you is stuff that I have lived and I have done. So for movement, you really want to make sure you don't get stuck in a rut of either not moving enough or only doing one type of movement. You really need 50% cardio and 50% resistance. So lifting weight, doing those weight bearing exercises, because building muscle is what's going to really help your body with the hormonal regulation. So for your mouth, what are you eating? Eating clean, lean is the way to go for that, and reducing the sugar. For your movement, you want to do cardio and resistance 50-50. Don't get stuck in a rut, and at least 50% of the week. So we're going to do 50, 50, 50, 50, 50% a week. And I know people get caught up in numbers like 150 minutes a week, 300 minutes a week. Yes, all of that. But if you're not moving at all, I want you to just focus on at least getting something in a day. 1 minute of movement is better than 0 minutes of exercise. Then there's medications, medical interventions. We talked about those last week in detail. So catch, or last show. So catch that if you didn't get it. I also have a blog post that goes into detail about it. But there are some groundbreaking medications out there. One thing someone put in the comments, I want to comment on, they were like, oh Lord, another doctor pushing another pill for something else, because I'm on a pill for high blood pressure, for my sleep apnea, for my diabetes. So now it's going to be something else. I have told y'all 100 times, like so many times, that obese, guess what is linked to all those diseases? Obesity. Having extra body fat is linked to all of those diseases. So the diabetes type 2, the sleep apnea, the hypertension, all of it. So the goal is actually, if we can reduce your weight effectively, so 5 to 10%, so, and not just weight, reduce the extra body fat that's causing this inflammation, causing this harm, that would be the only medication you need. Like, that's our goal. That's my goal as an obesity specialist. That's what I'm trying to do for you. I don't want you to be on like 50 million pills or 50 million injections or whatever. It's really trying to treat the root cause so that you don't have to be take care of all of these other things, so that we're not just treating the symptoms. So I hope y'all feel that, because it's not about like putting you on just another pill or another medication or another intervention for that. All right. I digress. So y'all cool on the body? Give me some thumbs up. Let me know. You know your body triggers. Have you heard a body trigger? Did you hear something that resonates with you as your body trigger? Did you? Did you hear? All right, let me know in the chat. I'm checking as we go. And so we're going to move on to my favorite. I love mind. Okay, so mind triggers. Free your mind and the rest will follow, right? Those wise women of In Vogue said it. And it's so true, even in medicine, because one of the major triggers that we don't talk enough about is the mind, and the impact that stress, psychological stress, then can cause physiological stress, or the emotional stress we have feeds into that hormone pathway. All those hormones I talked about in body, guess what? Emotions aren't like some separate thing that's off in space, like, detached here outside of your body and has no influence on your body. The body, mind, spirit connection is so real. So if you are stressed, if you're depressed, if you're anxious, if you're carrying around years of trauma, if you a Black woman living in this racist society, like, that is heavy. That weighs on you. Okay, it weighs on you physically. So this is something we have to talk about and address. Now, when it comes to stress, again, talking about, there's uncontrollable and there's controllable, right? There's some things we cannot control. We can't control what we see every day when we turn on the news. I'm the mom of 2 children. I have a Black son, I have a Black daughter living in society. Sometimes I have to shut the news off because it can be so scary, right? I experienced the world being a Black doctor, walking through this, and it's heavy. These are stresses we can't control. So I think one of the key things, and why I love BDO, is that we need to be able to have spaces to talk about it and address it, so that you're not gaslighted by society, feel like, oh, you're just whining again. No, like, what you're feeling, what you experience is very real, and it really weighs on you. And so please, let's share, let's talk about those things. Thank you so much, Latasha. I'm glad you're here. Latasha said Black women deal with what I call social anxiety. It is so true, society anxiety. And one of the things I'm happy about that has happened in the past few years is we are acknowledging the role that racism plays, and systemic racism and those experiences play in Black women. There's something called the Black Women's Health Study. It just showed that healthier Black women are women who have less experiences of racism. This is still, it holds true for my brothers as well too, and for other people, especially the LGBTQIA community. So we need to talk about this. So, but what I'm going to say now is that, all right, y'all, we're living with all of this. What are we going to do to that we can control? And stuffing it and pretending it doesn't exist is not a solution. And I lived under that burden of the strong woman myth for so long, and it will weigh on you. So, one of the changes that had to be made, and now I'm going to share with what we can do about stress. I'm going to share 3 A's. So, okay, y'all remember what my solutions were for the body section? Bonus points for who gets it in. Look, let me give out a book today. I'm going to give out a book. So whoever can tell me the 3 M for body, put it in there. All right, put it in there, and the first person is going to get a book. But now I'm going to share 3 A's for the mind, for the mind triggers. So 3 A's for mind triggers. And I focus only on stress. I focus on both controllable and uncontrollable, but 3 A's to reduce your stress. Number 1 A is going to be awareness of your stress level. Because like I said, this whole strong woman, strong black woman myth is that we don't, it's like, you don't even acknowledge it. You just keep going, or, or a strong man myth. It happens to my brothers, things too. So you just keep going and acting like it does. So awareness. So we need to tune in, take a moment to tap in and say that it's okay to acknowledge and say that I'm stressed. And I think a lot of times it's like, people are afraid of saying that they're stressed because you think you're going to fall apart. And that certainly happened to me. Like, I was afraid I was going to fall apart. Like, if I admitted everything that was weighing me down, I was going to fall apart. No, we have safe spaces. So once you have an acknowledge it and are aware of it, then it's to address it, right? And then have that accountability or safe spaces where you can talk about it. So the 3 A's are for addressing stress are awareness, address, and then accountability. So awareness, some of the things that I have like in the book, and then also there's a blog about stress on my website as well. I like using the Holmes Race scale. And now that's kind of old school. It is like, because some of my people, I work again with a lot of smart, successful people, right? And they need numbers. So it's basically a checklist, and you give a point value to every stressor you're experiencing, or everything that's going on in your life, basically. And what they found is that the higher your score was on this inventory, the more likely you were to experience an adverse medical event. So again, talking about that body, mind, spirit connection, that having these high levels of stress, and some of the stress is actually positive stress, like getting married. I just talked to somebody, like, part of their weight gain came when they got married later in life. And this new life, like, so that one of my patients, that's one of the things that we're working through. So, some of it is positive things, but the body just interprets this all as stress. So, and if you don't want to do the scale, just make a list. Sometimes what I do with my patients or my clients, I'll just have them, we'll make a list. I'm like, no judgment zone. We're just going to simply write down everything kind of going on in your life right now and see, could this be? How heavy is it? How heavy is that stuff? So make a list so you have that awareness. Then for addressing it, there's some simple stress solutions you can do. I mean, again, people always think I need to go on a retreat. I need to go to the spa. I need to do that. I love all of that stuff, y'all. I can't wait. I already got my spa day planned for June. I can't wait to do that. But every day, every hour, we need to be doing something for stress. One of the quickest stress relievers, things that I do, I know it sounds crazy, filling my water bottle. I always have a pretty bottle of water on my desk. I can tell you the days when I'm super stressed because my pretty bottle of water is not on my desk. Because what that has come to simply signify to me is that I'm feeling so stressed that I'm not even willing to give myself 2.5 minutes, which is how long it takes to make this water, to fill my water bottle. So I want to ask you, are you filling your bottle? Are you filling your water bottle? Are you giving yourself that 2.5 minutes? Are you worth 2.5 minutes for your stress relief? And then the other easy thing you can do to address the stress and release the stress is deep breathing. Every client, every patient I see, I give them the option of starting with a peaceful moment. And we either do deep breathing, prayer, muscle relaxation, one of the two. I give them the choice. And because just taking that minute, not only again, this body, mind, spirit connection, we're releasing those stress hormones by doing that deep breathing. And then last but not least is the accountability. Who is holding you accountable in your space? Do you have a close friend where not only do you talk about the stress you're experiencing, but that they also give you solutions like, let's go for a walk. Let's do something. Let's just laugh. Let's go to a comedy show. Let's watch this funny movie. Like, let's do that. So who is your stress relief buddy? Not your stressor buddy, because we got those friends too. Like, we have those people, that's your girl. You can call, you'd be like, oh, I can't get this weight off. They're like, I can't get this weight off. We can't do it. We do it. And sometimes you do need that, someone that you feel like they're there with you. But then you also need those people that will lift you up. So sometimes you don't have that, and having a support group can be very helpful. Like how I came into this journey, honestly, I had people who I could, tell and commiserate with, but I needed to build more support. So I started using social media to build that support. And that's how I got the accountability that I needed and the encouragement and the motivation to help me on my own 40-pound weight loss journey. And then sometimes I know it's May is Mental Health Awareness Month. A therapist, y'all. I always say every woman needs three things outside of their faith: a hairstylist, a manicurist, I haven't seen her yet, and a therapist. Okay, these are the trinity. It will get you right, because you need to be able to have that unbiased place where you can talk, and you need to like your therapist. So sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't like therapy. Maybe gotta try it, mix it up, see more than one person. And then finding even a coach, the right type of life coach or an emotional freedom technique coach. Like, finding a different coach to help you can also be helpful as well. But remember, addressing stress is important. If you do nothing today, just start by acknowledging it. Make a list, okay? Then address it with some simple solutions that you could do, like filling your cup, and then accountability. So now, y'all, last but not least, because I feel like, am I doing too much? Because I do a lot. I just gotta admit, embrace you, right? I'm team too much, team extra. So I know I've thrown a lot of stuff at y'all. Let me know. You feeling this? You understand, like, is this hitting you? Some of the weight gain triggers that maybe you came into the show, you didn't realize was triggering your weight, or what to do about it. So that's the point of this. I want to really make sure that you understand that there's more than calories in versus calories out. There are lots of things in the body hormonally that can get disrupted, from your sleep to those 5 Ps to medications that can affect it, but you can address them through the 3 M's. And then when it comes to the mind, that stress is a big one, both the uncontrollable stress you may not be acknowledging and the controllable stress as well, and making sure that you do the 3 A's to address it. Now, last but not least, I wouldn't be me. Don't worry, Producer, Mr. Ellis, we're gonna wrap up. I promise. 2 more minutes. Give me 2 minutes. But I want to say spirit. Okay, so the spirit is so important, and one of the things we don't talk enough about is, do you like yourself? Okay, that is the question I'm going to ask, because I grew up in diet culture. From the age of 15, I was dieting on and off, right? And the big part of the weight loss industry and diet culture is, there's something wrong with me. And especially, again, being a Black woman in a white, Anglo specific, that sets the standard and the norm of our beauty standards often. Like, it's easy to not like yourself, like to not embrace yourself on the journey. So I really want to ask you from a spirit perspective and free you and say that it is okay to love yourself as you're trying to make a change, as you're trying to improve your body. You don't, even if you are on a weight loss journey, even if you're on a non-scale journey, whatever you're doing right now, it's okay to like yourself and to love yourself. And if you can't honestly look in the mirror and say, I love myself, I like myself, and that's why I'm doing this change, and you're trying to come at it from a place of hating yourself, you're adding more stress to the journey. And that's actually sabotaging your efforts. So it is okay to like yourself, to love yourself, to embrace you as you empower yourself to the next stage that you're going to. And all this information I share is to empower you, but please, please hear me out. Like, you are beautiful. That's why I was starting saying you are beautiful, you are magnificent. But embracing you is the foundation to being able to be open to the changes that you need so that you can really get to the root cause of those weight gain triggers. And honestly, for me, that was the solution. That freed me from that yo-yo dieting and has allowed me to be consistent on my journey for the past 8 years. Because I'm a child of God, and I don't mince words about it. And God really told me, like, I'm not going to let you make a positive change with a negative mindset anymore. I'm not going to let you do it. So you're going to first love yourself, like yourself, and then this transformation will come and it will happen. So I'm going to leave y'all with that. And last but not least, I leave with a mindset shift every show. And the mindset shift, it says, a lot of people are frustrated with weight loss and maintaining their weight because they're only focused on these two triggers, food and exercise, without paying attention to your body's uniqueness and without paying attention to the body, mind, spirit connection. And it's important to realize, like, you are a uniquely crafted individual. And we say that, we might even tell the kids that, but we forget that, right? Like, as we grow up and we get grown. But the reason what works for some people or for those people may not work for you is because you're different. And that is okay. Your body's wired different. There's different things you need. So there are over 100 weight gain triggers, and they all kind of add up, right? So let's pay more attention to releasing that weight loss is just calories in versus calories out, and embrace that weight loss is energy in versus energy out. So check your energy. What kind of energy is coming in, and are you releasing that negative energy so that you can live lighter in body, mind, and spirit? So thank y'all so much for checking in with me during this time. I love being here with you beautiful people on Embrace You Hot Topics and Weight Loss. Tracy, Hearts, Hun, we're both recovering for COVID. Look, here's a ginger tea cheers to you. I pray you have a rapid healing. Thank you all for the comments. Oh, Ronice won the book. Boop, boop, Ronice gonna get a book. Okay, too much. Tone it down. But yes, Rodies, I'm so excited for you. So please DM me your address and your email address, and I will make sure you get your copy of Embrace You, your guide to transforming weight loss misconceptions into lifelong wellness. And guess what? Chapter 1 of the book talks about everything and more of what I talked about in here with the weight gain triggers. And guess what? Every chapter of the book has an empowerment tool so that you can create your own weight loss wellness based strategy. And guess what? Spoiler alert. Very soon, I'm going to be coming out with a special prize to go with it. And I can't wait to share it with you. So go ahead, y'all, get your copy of the book and you will be the first one to know. But thank you once again. I'm Dr. Sylvia Gonson-Boley. I am your innovative, integrated, individualized bariatrician, founder of Embrace You Weight and Wellness, where we help smart, successful people stop obsessing over their scale and live lighter in body, mind, and spirit. And this has been another episode of Hot Topics in Weight Loss. We have talked about your weight gain triggers from a body, mind, spirit perspective. And I just want to remind you that you are incredible, you are unique, and in whatever you do, remember to always embrace you. And I can't wait to see you in 2 weeks. Bye, y'all. Thank you.